Good evening, everybody, and thank you, Chris, and thanks the Journal of Marketing for hosting this event. My name is Rihanna Perez, talking to you from the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, and my co-author is Daria Zabora, and she will take over soon. And our paper deals with a very fundamental question related to brand management. What are the associations that consumers have with brands? We are going to present to you some method, new platform that we developed that can provide or help researchers and brand managers elicit associations for their brands. Measuring the associations of brands is one of the key goals of brand managers because knowing what is associated with your brand is important for understanding the brand health, to define brand strategy, and to determine marketing communications. And this is not an easy task, because if you look at this example brand here, L'Oreal, associations can come from many directions. Associations can be functional, but associations can also be objects, such as peacock or a flower. Associations can be colors, associations can be adjectives, and many things go on in our consumers' minds. And the question is, how can we elicit these associations, understand them, and then use them to determine our branding strategy? If you think of all the available methods for understanding what consumers think about brands, many of the traditional ones are survey methods. And you are all familiar with the brand personality and brand equity measures. And these are surveys, closed form surveys that are very scalable. You can use them on any brand for a large number of brands. You can decide what sample you want to use them on, choose only the brand loyalists, or maybe people who have not yet experienced with a brand. And the main limitation of these well-established method is that they are closed form surveys. So respondents or consumers can answer only on questions that they were asked. And to complement that, research has developed over the years a set of qualitative methodologies in which respondents or consumers are asked open questions. They can describe the relationship with the brand visually, or using using free text, or all kinds of other projective methods. And these methods are great. Their drawback is that they are not scalable. It's very hard to do them on a large number of brands, and you cannot derive any quantitative insights from them. And in the past 10 years, new sources for information on brands opened up, and these are the social media. And social media is great because it's abundant. It's up there for us to use, but if you use the right methods, then you can discover many new dimensions and associations. But the main drawback of social media is that you cannot find it on any brand. So there is a lot of social media on Apple or media and entertainment brands, but there is much less social media on toothpaste brands or on cleaning ingredients. Also, in social media, you do not have control over the sample. If you want to choose a specific group of people who are looking for a car, it's very hard to find them on social media, or brand loyalists. Or you want to take a representative sample, maybe. And also, last point with social media is that it's not robust to strategic posting, because when people post, they post about themselves. And even if they include brands in their post, their main motivation for posting is to signal something about themselves, and it's hard to disentangle, to decompose this element from their brand perceptions. What we want to suggest here is a platform called B-VEP, stands for a Brand Visual Elicitation Platform, that take the best of all worlds. That it's scalable, you can use it for any brand, you can decide what sample you want to use it for. It's open, it's unaided, so you can discover new dimensions, and in addition, it uses the power of visuals, because there is a lot of evidence showing that when people use visuals instead of words, they are able to derive associations and concepts and metaphors that are very deep and sometimes really hidden. So if we, so this is the platform. We will post you at the end with the link to the platform, so you can all go and try. And this platform is based on collage making. We go back to these to the psychological methods who ask participants to create collages, and based on these collages, in the past they qualitatively elicited perceptions and associations. They were interviewing people about their collages and so on. Here we take the collage making method and move it online. So on the right hand side of the screen, you can see a large repository of photographs. This is basically Flickr, the photo repository website. We took about 100,000 photos from Flickr, and people can either browse through this repository, they can search, and they can start thinking about what kind of collage will most represent their the brand that they are asked to work on. In this case, it's L'Oreal. And people can, so they can drag and drop pictures from the right-hand side of the screen to the left side. They can resize, reshape, put photos on top of each other, and create the visual representation that they think that L'Oreal is. And we made all kinds of limitations and tweaked this applications, so to prevent them from just searching, for example, for L'Oreal and just put photos of the brand. So because we want something that's much deeper than that, and we really encourage them to come up with the concepts that represent L'Oreal for them. Daria, you go ahead.
Thank you so much. Great. So we use this platform to collect a very large data set. So we collected 302 national US brands. So basically, and it spans, the data set spans all these categories, from beauty to cars to food and dining to home design and decorations. Basically, if you know the brand, chances are it's there. Okay, so it's a very large data set. And we have a total of 4,000, about 700 collages. Okay, so then the machine learning challenge is, how do we extract some kind of quantitative insights from all these collages, right? So this is what the data looks like. So for L'Oreal, we have these are 3 example collages. See, this middle one has a lot of peacocks. We had a reference to that on the first slide. And so this is kind of what the data looks like. For Starbucks, here are 3 collages. If you sort of take a moment to stare at them. So this first one on the left for Starbucks, it has a lot of energy. Okay, people running and all different forms of energy. For the one on the very right, so the bottom right, it's about relaxation. Okay, so this person associates Starbucks with sort of going for some peaceful time alone with a cup of coffee, and it's very expensive. Okay, so they put money. And the one in the middle, it's about work. right? So it's computers, meetings, and that's where Starbucks comes in. Okay, so our challenge is how do we extract quantitative insights? So we want to be able to say that Starbucks is more associated with work than our other brands in the same category, for example. Right? So we want to take all these unstructured data and extract. Yes, please click. So on the left, so we're going to go through sort of in very big picture, high level, how we extract those. So we start with the data, right? So for every brand, we have a set of collages. It's between 15 and 20 collages for every brand. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is tag every photo. Okay, so we use an automated tagging photo software, which takes the image as an input and outputs a set of tags, which is just a set of words that describe the picture. Okay, so they might be, beach, sunset, peaceful, person, child, baby, seashore, whatever they are. Okay, so for every picture, so now we sort of convert that image problem into a text problem. So every collage is sort of like an essay, if you want. The person wrote an essay visually, which we converted into words. Okay. And then we're going to do two things to this kind of pile of words, bag of words, if you want. First, we're going to compute a word embedding. If you've worked with text analysis, so there's kind of two popular ways to do text analysis. One is compute an embedding, which is like a latent space where words that are similar have are close in that space, and words that are very different are very far apart in that space. Okay, so things like, so you can see here, it's very small, but tags like shore, oceanside, marine, beach, island, palm, so these words are going to be similar in that embedded space. Okay, so one thing we're going to do is compute these embeddings and cluster them. So the problem with that is that, the limitation of that is that words can be similar, linguistically similar, but they might be very different for when it comes to brands. So for example, one cluster we got had all different animal types. So it had carnivore, herbivore, omnivore, right? So linguistically, these words are similar, but when we're talking about brand associations, it matters, whether it's a cheetah or a deer. So the second thing we're going to do is topic modeling. So we use a method called guided LDA, which is like the classic LDA topic model, but that allows you to seed it, okay, sort of like a Bayesian prior, with these clusters that we computed in the first step. All right. So these two things together are going to give us 150 topics, which are, you can think of them as types of words that are occurring in these documents. Okay. So, and these are all types of different things. So one topic is cityscapes. Okay. And it will have things like skyscrapers and things like that. Another topic might be running. Another topic is ball sports. A third topic will be related to animals, to nature, sceneries, mountain, snowscapes was another one, winter, and so on. Okay. So we get a set of these 150, and this is what we're going to call associations. Okay, what is an association? It's really a probability distribution over these tags. Okay, so we've got two example ones here. Water, okay, so that's one association. Urban youth, that's another association. Okay, so each topic is a probability distribution over words, which we then manually labeled using a team of research assistants. Okay, and every collage, so every user who completed a collage on a brand is a probability distribution over these associations. So we might say that this particular collage is 30% water, 20% urban youth, and the other, whatever I said, 50% cityscapes. Okay, so for every collage, we have this distribution of what are the associations contained in that collage. And sort of how they're weighted relative to one another. Okay? And then we can aggregate that a little bit further and collect all the collages for a given brand. So take McDonald's and average the associations in those collages. Okay, so because something, sort of what we want to say is there a recurring association? So if just a person happened to talk about a colibri bird in their Starbucks collage, well, that's something that could have just happened there by chance. But what we want to see is, on average, our collages of Starbucks have more instances of office scenes than do other food and dining brands, right? So just once again, so we're gonna just extract three things. This set of associations on which kind of form the space where different brands are mapped, right? So every brand is associated to a certain degree with some of these associations. Every collage has a set of associations, and we're going to aggregate them by brand. Okay, next slide, please. Great. So, and then, so what I was mentioning before, then we'll compare the brand relative to its category. So, for example, if you take the brand X, at the top, we've got the 5 associations with which the brand X is statistically significantly more associated with than other brands in the health and beauty category. Okay, so that's what this means. So it's more associated with bodybuilding than are other brands in this category, which is all shampoos, soaps, lotions, things like that. And the brand X is less associated than most brands in the category with water, flowers, fruits, rain, and another got 2 different types of flowers that popped up associated with different brands. So what does that mean, right? So both of these are informative, right? So we want to know what the brand is, and also something that the brand most certainly isn't, right? So Axe, for example, is definitely not fruits relative to other beauty brands. Next one. Thank you. So the brand Degree, so this is another deodorant brand, Sporty One, and we see what is Degree statistically significantly more associated with than others, and it's all these sport-related things. And things Degree is not is glamour, hairstyling, wedding, birds, and art. Okay, so that sort of makes sense, I guess, given most of our intuition about these brands. And again, so for every brand, we're able to derive what the brand is and also what the brand isn't. And next slide. Next slide, please. Thank you. Okay, so the next thing that we can do is, if I give you a brand, let's say Degree, what we can do is generate images that best represent how consumers perceive it. Okay, so I can take the brand, so we can so far we went in one direction. We took these images that consumers communicated to us and extracted verbally these associations, right? So that then we can analyze them. And what we can also do is take the brand and map it back the other way. So identify a set of images that represent how the brand looks in consumers' minds. Okay. Thank you.
Daria, do you think you could finish in maybe another minute or so?
I don't know, Novel.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Thank you.
So once you have this ability to index pictures and index and elicit brand associations, the way is open to do and to quantify many things that relate to brand management. For example, we can take specific brand metrics, which might be part of the desired positioning, for example, charming or feminine or good looking or up to date. These are a part of the brand personality sophistication item, and ask what are the visual associations of feminine. Okay, so brands that are ranked as more feminine are more associated with hairstyling, therapy, wedding, and romantic flowers. Brands that are are ranked higher, that people perceive as charming, are less associated with industry and heavy vehicle and pollution and metalwork and seats. So what we do, if you will, is map between visual associations to brand metrics, to images that can be used as part of the creative.
Renata, I think we lost you.
Can you?
Now we can hear you.
Okay, sorry. And we talked about indexing repositories, connecting brands with the well-known metrics, and then we can also use our method to find strategic collaborations between brands. Because if we found, for example, that the Cheesecake Factory and KitchenAid share some associations, have associations in common, this can be a potential collaboration, or it means that somehow these brands, totally from a different category, have something in common that might be used as part of the strategic management of the brand. And I think with that we finish, and we would be happy to take questions.
Great. Whoops. Let me go back there. Wonderful. So we do have some questions, and if we can't get through all of these, I could suggest that maybe we stick around for a few minutes at the end, and so people can get some answers to questions. So Catherine asks, how is the stack of photos chosen and decided?
Cool. So maybe can you go back to the slide where we have the
maybe not, just because
the
yeah, if
screenshot of the collage. So yeah, that would just help me. So, but I'll start talking in the meantime. I don't know who has control of the slides right now. Can you go back maybe 5 slides? Thank you. So, so what we did, so we wanted a really large repository of photos, okay, so that people don't feel constrained and they can really find exactly, you know, as close as possible to what comes to mind when they think of the brand. So what we did is we scraped Flickr back a little bit more so we can see the screenshot. We scraped Flickr for the top 1,000 most commonly used verbs, nouns, and adjectives in the English language. And we downloaded, I believe, the first 2 pages of whatever Flickr returns. Okay, so we sort of search for run and download the first 2 pages of whatever Flickr returns, and so on. So that has the whole repository there. It's presented in a randomized order to people. And we also implemented this search bar so they can search for run and it'll return images tagged with run in a randomized order. Thank you for
Wonderful. Wonderful. So another question here. You're getting some input on different ways that you could do this, which would be helpful maybe to look at. So how does this, one question that I actually had was, can you check to see the impact of your marketing associations, or excuse me, your marketing activity on these associations and how that they might influence, you know, what associations are made or not made?
Yes, so I think actually any direct elicitation methods are sort of particularly well tailored for tracking marketing activity effectiveness, right? So if you're running a campaign that features a lot of, I don't know, mountains, then you can sort of do surveys before and after and see if mountains are something that come to mind when people think of the brand. So I think that's a very good application of this, actually.
And Roshan asks about the insight into user-generated content. Can the tool be used? I guess this would have to involve pictures, but it could involve just your words as well, right?
Absolutely. So actually, you know, I started in user-generated content. So Natalie Nizik, Lulu, and I have a paper on using images, sort of getting insights from images on social media. And again, we were running into all these issues, and you know, people are asking us, but these things that they post, is that really what they think? And it's not really a very representative sample, if you want. And I think that this could actually be used as a baseline to compare the user-generated content with. So sort of this is what we see people posting on social media, and these are the visuals that come to mind for the average American, for example, or our target audience for this brand. So I think it's quite complementary. I think user-generated content is super important, and I think this is complementary.
What about B2B brands? Laura is asking about, is this mostly a B2C or can it apply to B2B?
I think it's great for
I think it absolutely,
because it's usually B2B. In B2B, you have a large buying center of many people that perceive in the organization that have all kinds of perceptions on your brand, and there is actually, we know very little on B2B, way less than B2C. And then if we can use such methods, I think they can gain even higher value in B2B because there is so little that we know. And obviously, if you are a project manager at HP and you are buying software from SAP, you do have your associations with the brand. And this is something that the account manager would definitely want to know.
Perfect. Perfect. Two quick questions if we can. One, can the portfolio of photos be changed dynamically? I mean, as images, is that something that continuously, can the system learn, in other words, or can you, is the
sure,
system
it's very
developed?
easy to change. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, and it learn. No, I hadn't thought about that. I was thinking, I mean, it's possible to sort of manually change them, right? That I want to only work in this particular domain of photographs, right? Or like I want only nature images or something like that. We haven't thought about dynamically changing it to sort of offer people recommendations. I'd be very careful because anything you do is going to bias their response, right? To sort of implement some kind of recommendation system so that you don't limit people.
Wonderful. Well, what about performance? That's the last, maybe, and probably everybody's wondering about this, is there a link between these associations and bottom line performance? Any desirable associations that all brands should aim to have?
We do have desirable associations. So one of the metrics we collected is what this individual person thinks of the brand along the standard brand metrics, brand equity, and brand personality. I don't think we have it on a slide here. Unless it's
I'm just going to go on. Yeah.
That's okay. So actually, there aren't really desirable associations across all brands, surprisingly. You have to do it by category, and then you see desirable and undesirable associations. And there are a lot of associations that are actually desirable for some categories and undesirable for others.
That makes a lot of sense, and probably,
for example,
also prototypical for those categories. So maybe that could be a source of differentiation as well.
Baking,
absolutely.
Yeah, baking is a very good association for food products, but it's not a desired association for cars.
Wonderful. Well, I'm sorry, we'll have to stop now, but you were able to get through most of the questions. And we will now post a link to the platform that Daria and Renana have developed, and a link to a summary of their research. The actual paper will be posted within 24 hours, so you'll be able to come back to the Journal of Marketing site and pick that up. But let me go ahead and thank you both. Very interesting stuff, super powerful for marketers, so we appreciate you participating in the webinar.